As a practicing cardiologist, lots of my patients ask about nuts. They ask whether nuts are healthy or not. If it is healthy, which nuts to choose from, how to choose, and what are the precautions while choosing the nuts. In today's video, we'll discuss about all those things. So nuts, once you open it, they are nutritional powerhouses because they are rich in fiber. They are having high fiber content and protein content. They have vitamin E, which is beneficial for health. We'll discuss later. And they contains various essential minerals like they contain magnesium, they contain manganese, they contain copper, they contain zinc, and they contain selenium, which have lots of health benefits. So nuts, all of us know they're tasty, they're crunchy. We cannot resist the nuts. But do you know these are healthy as well? They confer lots of healthy benefits. They help in decreasing the sugar level in diabetics. How do they do that? We'll discuss later. They are essential for our brain function because they improve our memory and cognitive function because some of the nuts contain good amount of omega 3, and omega 3 is a fatty acid which is important for our cognitive and memory function. So in that, by dint of that omega 3, they are good for our brain function as well as they're good for our skin. For all the ladies out there who want to boost their skin health, they want to look younger, consumption of nuts is very important to improve the skin health because they contains various antioxidants and phytochemicals which boost the collagen production and improves the skin tone. They also improve the cardiovascular function, health of the heart as well as the blood vessels. They improve the weight loss. They help us in the weight loss journey. And last but not the least, they are also important regarding the cancer prevention. All those things we'll discuss in details in subsequent slides. But as a practicing cardiologist, heart health is something which is very, very important for me. And nuts are very important for both heart as well as for the blood vessels. As we age, we tend to develop the blood vessels, our blood vessels stiffens, they become resistant. So thereby our blood pressure increases. Nuts contains various phytochemicals as well as vitamin E, which helps in relaxing the blood vessels, prevent the hypertension. So they are good for our health of the blood vessels. So they are not only good for the health of our blood vessels, they are also good for our heart as such. Why? Because they contain lots of healthy fats. They contain fiber, they contain vitamin E, they contain various minerals, especially minerals like magnesium, which confers heart benefit because they decrease the inflammation as well as they prevent the blockage formation and irregular heartbeat. So nuts are very important for our cardiovascular health as such. So nuts, how do they confer heart benefit? First of all, nuts, since they contains various antioxidants, they prevent inflammation, and we know inflammation is one of the root cause for all the chronic diseases, be it heart disease or stroke or any other conditions. Inflammation is a root cause. So by decreasing the inflammation, nuts prevent heart diseases. As well as nuts, they decrease the bad cholesterol. We know bad LDL is a bad cholesterol, and nuts have a protective effect in decreasing the LDL cholesterol. Not only they decrease the LDL cholesterol, they prevent the damage of the LDL cholesterol. That we'll discuss subsequently. As well as nuts, they decrease the triglyceride, which is the fat which causes the thickening of the blood. So as the triglyceride increases in our blood becomes thickened, and we have an increased tendency to develop heart blockages or heart attacks. So nut decreases the triglyceride level, unhealthy triglyceride level. That decreases the bad LDL cholesterol level. Not only that, nut decreases the damage of the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. The LDL cholesterol by itself are not that dangerous. When the LDL cholesterol gets damaged, then they become dangerous because LDL cholesterol, they circulate in our bloodstream, and this LDL cholesterol, when they come in contact with free radicals, they get damaged. The LDL cholesterol get damaged, and these free radicals are generated in our body every day through various biochemical reactions, and nuts, they decrease this free radical formation. Otherwise, what happens, this LDL cholesterol, when they combine with these free radicals, they form an damaged LDL cholesterol, and this damaged LDL cholesterol, they easily take residua in our blood vessels. This damaged LDL cholesterol easily goes inside our blood vessels, and they causes blockage in the long run. So nuts, not only they decrease the bad LDL cholesterol, but they also prevent the damage of the LDL cholesterol because they contain various phytochemicals, antioxidants. So thereby they decrease the damage of LDL cholesterol, and thereby they prevent the heart attack or heart blockages. So till now we have learned that nuts are very good for our cardiovascular system. It's good for our blood vessels. They maintain the elasticity of the blood vessels as well as they're protective for our heart. They prevent the blockages of our heart by decreasing the bad LDL cholesterol as well as by preventing the damage of the LDL cholesterol. They also decreases the risk of irregular heartbeat because they have lots of magnesium, and magnesium prevents the irregular heartbeat. So thereby nuts are very, very protective in cardiovascular health. Nuts also contains good amount of fiber, and fiber also are very important for cardiovascular health because they prevent any untoward arrhythmias or heart blockages, the amount of fiber. And fiber also is helpful regarding the weight loss because fiber keeps us full for a longer period of time. So if you consume more fiber, we feel satiety, we feel more full, and thereby we tend to lose weight. So fiber is very, very important for cardiovascular health. Fiber is very important for weight loss as such, as well as fiber is important for sugar control as well. And nut contains fiber, thereby nut confers all this benefit. Nut is beneficial for heart, nut decreases the blood sugar, nut helps in weight management as well, and last but not the least, nut also helps in the cancer prevention. How do they do that? We'll discuss later on. So nuts, lots of studies have shown the nuts helps in prevention of cancers, especially colon cancer. And how do they do that? Because as we have discussed, nuts contains fiber, nuts also contains various antioxidant and phytochemicals which decreases the inflammation in the body, and inflammation is one of the cause behind the cancer cell formation. So nuts not only decrease the inflammation, nuts also helps in the formation of the butyrate. What is butyrate? Basically, in our gut, there are not million, not billion, but trillions of bacteria in your gut. And this bacteria, some bacteria are good bacteria and some bacteria are bad bacteria. Bad bacteria, they survive on sugar and refined carbohydrate. And if they overgrow in our gut, the bad bacteria, we have various health issues. But on the other hand, good bacteria in our gut, they survive on fiber. And if good bacteria overgrow in our gut, they tend to confer various health benefits, because once we take fiber, because the good bacteria, they thrive and they survive on fiber, and nut contains lots of fiber. So when we take nuts, we are basically allowing the good bacteria to flourish in our gut, and once this good bacteria flourishes, they confer various health benefit, because this good bacteria, they not only flourishes in our gut, but they also secrete a substance known as butyrate. And what is butyrate? Butyrate is basically a short chain fatty acid which is secreted by this good bacteria in our gut. So this butyrate actually helps in the colon health of the colonic cells. They prevent any cancer cell formation, especially in the colon. So butyrates are very, very important, which are secreted by the good gut bacteria, and the butyrate prevents the cancer cell formation in the colon. Not only that, this butyrate gets absorbed in our body and they confer various health benefits. So because of this fiber content in the nuts, because of the various phytochemicals and anti-inflammatory substance in the nuts are helpful in the prevention of various cancer, especially colon cancer. So that's why we have discussed till now the nuts are very beneficial in cardiovascular health, nuts are beneficial in weight loss, in our weight loss journey. Nuts are also beneficial in the prevention of cancer, especially colon cancer, as well as they are useful in our brain health, as well as our maintaining the skin tone and maintaining the vitality of the skin tone. So nuts have all those benefits. But having discussed about the benefits of the nuts, lots of us, although we sometimes consume nuts, but we consume in a wrong way. And if you consume nuts in a wrong way, there are chances that it might be harmful. So what are the common mistakes when we are consuming nuts? Number one mistake is consuming too much, because nuts are rich in calories. So if you consume too much, rather than weight loss, it could cause weight gain. So consuming too much of nuts is a number one mistake. Second, most often we consume nuts which are either salted or they are sugar coated or chocolate coated. So or fried in oils, bad oils. So if all these things are there, that also are not healthy. It should be dry roasted. It should not be coated with sugar, salt or chocolate. And sometimes nuts, since sometimes they have a short shelf life, you need to see whether they have gone rancid or damaged or not, because damaged nuts also could be harmful for your body. And another common mistake is that not consuming variety of nuts, because different nuts have different properties. So when you are consuming nuts, try to include different nuts, healthy nuts in your diet, so that you have the benefits of all the nuts rather than restricting yourself to a single nuts. And another last common mistake while consuming nuts are concerned, people take sometimes unhealthy nut products like nut butters, that we'll discuss later on. So these are the few common mistakes people do while consuming nuts. So if you like our channel, if you like our content, kindly subscribe to our channel and share the content with somebody else, and please press on the bell icon so that you get the notification whenever we are posting a video regarding heart health as such. research. So the next question comes whether all nuts are the same. The answer is that all nuts are not the same, because few nuts have high carbohydrate content, few nuts have low carbohydrate content. So we can divide the nuts based on how much carbohydrate they have, whether they are high in carbohydrate or they are low in carbohydrate. That especially becomes important if somebody is diabetic. Along with that carbohydrate content, nut also contains healthy fats, as we have discussed, and these healthy fats comprises of two types of fat, essentially omega 6 and omega 3 fatty acids. And omega 6 and omega 3 fatty acids in our body should be in balance. Ideally it should be 1:1 balance, or as close to 1:1. Omega 6 and omega 3 should be as close to 1:1. But most of the time, because of our faulty lifestyle and diet, because of the excessive intake of refined food and processed food, outside food, our bodies have lots of omega 6 and less omega 3, and this imbalance causes various diseases. And few nuts, they have this omega 6 omega 3 ratio almost close to 1:1, but few nuts, this ratio is very much altered. Their omega 6 is high, omega 3 is low, so thereby they tend to have that altered omega 6 omega 3 ratio. So we'll discuss about that, which nuts have this. So that's why you need to know what is the carbohydrate content of different nuts, as well as what is the omega 6 and omega 3 content of various nuts. Because as we have discussed, omega 6 and omega 3 both are important for our health. Omega 3 gives anti-inflammatory effect. They're good for our brain, good for our eye health, good for our cardiovascular health. They are anti-inflammatory. While omega 6 also they are beneficial, but in today's world we are consuming too much of omega 6, and since you are consuming too much of omega 6, it is becoming toxic for us. So we should have a balance of omega 6 and omega 3, so that it is as close to 1:1. So what about nuts and diabetes? There's a lots of common question regarding I'm a diabetic, whether I can consume nuts or not. The answer is yes. Even if you are diabetic, you can consume nuts, but you have to be mindful what is the carbohydrate content of that particular type of nuts, because if chosen properly, nuts can help in decrease in the blood sugar in diabetics. Why? Because nuts contain fiber, and fiber helps in decrease in the blood sugar. Nuts also improves the insulin sensitivity, because nuts have magnesium, and magnesium improves the insulin sensitivity and thereby improves the blood sugar. And nuts helps in decreasing the body weight, because since they contain more fiber, more protein, they keep us full, so they help in decreasing the body weight if consumed in moderation. So by dint of all this mechanism, if properly chosen, correct nut is chosen, you can decrease your blood sugar if you are a diabetic. So which all nuts to take in case of diabetic? There are 4 nuts I would suggest that you take in case of diabetic. These are low in carbohydrate. First is you can take almonds, because almonds, they have high protein, good amount of fiber, as well as they have magnesium. As we have discussed, magnesium improves the insulin sensitivity. So almond can help you in decreasing the blood sugar if you are a diabetic. Next is walnuts. Walnuts, these are omega 3 champion. Out of all the nuts, walnut has the maximum amount of omega 3, and omega 3 also helps in cardiovascular health, as well as improves the insulin sensitivity and improves the blood sugar level. So walnuts, almonds. Third is macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are very buttery nuts. They are the very tasty nuts, and they contain lots of healthy fats. And since they contain lots of healthy fat, they contain very low carbohydrate, and thereby it is good for diabetics. And last but not the least is the pecan nuts. Pecan nuts are very rich in antioxidant, and presence of antioxidant also helps in decreasing the blood sugar. So these are the 4 type of nuts you can take if you are a diabetic, because these are low in carbohydrate. You can take almonds, you can take walnuts, you can take macadamia nuts, and you can take pecan nuts. The next question comes, okay, if these 4 nuts are to be taken in diabetics, which all nuts I should avoid? These are the 3 nuts we should avoid if you are a diabetic, because they contain carbohydrate. Among various nuts, cashews, although they are very tasty, they are crunchy, they are irresistible to avoid, but carbohydrate content of cashews is quite high. The net carbohydrate content is quite high. So if you are a diabetic, you should be mindful of that cashews contain lots of carbohydrate. So you should very much limit your portion. Do not overindulge in cashews, because they are rich in net carbohydrate. Next is pine nuts, because pine nuts, they are rich in calories, and their omega 6 omega 3 ratio is more in favor of omega 6. So the ratio is altered in case of pine nuts and they're rich in calories also. And third is pistachios. Pistachios, most of the time they're salted like cashews, so they tend to increase our blood pressure. And pistachios also, they have a high degree of carbohydrate like cashews. So pistachios should be restricted if you are a diabetic. So these are the three nuts: pistachios, cashews, and pine nuts needs to be avoided if you are a diabetic, or should be taken with a very restrictive intake. So next question comes, if the nuts are very helpful for all our system like heart health, for brain health, our skin health, for the blood sugar control, for weight management, how much should I take? There should be some limit. How much should I take? The answer is, the nuts should not be taking more than 30 grams. That is one fistful. So take one fistful of nuts every day, and the nuts should be not a particular type of nuts. You should include variety of nuts in your diet, because different nuts have different properties. Few nuts are high in carbohydrate, few nuts in low in carbohydrate, few nuts have optimum omega-6 and omega-3 balance. So we have already discussed which nuts are high in carbohydrate. We have discussed, but next question comes, there are few nuts that omega-6 and omega-3 balance is very much ideal, and these are 3-4 nuts. This balance is very ideal. One is walnuts. The omega-6 omega-3 balance is very close to 1:1. Walnuts. Second is pecan nuts. Third is coconut, and fourth is macadamia nuts. So these are the four nuts where the ratio is more or less as close to ideal as possible. So if you are consuming nuts, you should consume nuts, but consume in moderation, not more than 30 grams. That is one fistful per day. You should include variety of nuts in your diet, and these nuts should not be fried in oil. It should not be sugar coated. It should not have a salt coating or chocolate coating. It should be dry roasted nuts. So if you take like that, you can take as a snack also, because most of the time we take unhealthy snacks. We go for a bakery product like biscuit, cake, muffin, pastries, unhealthy, which are rich in sugar and unhealthy fats. So instead of munching on unhealthy snacks, if you take nuts, which are a healthy source of protein, fiber, vitamins and minerals, it could help you out in your day-to-day journey, which will keep you full for a longer period of time and give you protection from various diseases. Another question which commonly comes regarding nuts is that whether to soak the nuts or not. The answer is, if you soak the nuts, there are some benefits, especially for almonds and walnuts, because if you soak it, it improves the digestion process, number one. And there are sometimes presence of substances, especially in almond, there are substances like phytic acid, and this phytic acid prevents the absorption of various vitamins and minerals. So when you soak the nuts overnight, that phytic acid is gone. So thereby the absorption of various vitamins and minerals gets accelerated. So for maximum benefit, you can soak the nuts, especially almonds and walnuts. So likewise, walnuts also you can soak, because walnut by itself has some bitter taste. Why it has a bitter taste? Because it has a substance called tannic acid. So some of us do not like that bitter taste. So if you soak walnuts, after prolonged soaking, this tannic acid is gone from the walnuts. So the taste also becomes better, it becomes crunchier, and the digestion is also accelerated. So you can soak the nuts, especially these walnuts or almonds. So all in all, I would like to say these are the top 5 nuts you should include in your diet, and do not include only one type of nuts in your diet. Include variety of nuts, and these nuts include almonds, walnuts, macadamia nuts, pecan nuts, and last but not the least is Brazil nuts. So there are some specific tips regarding uses of Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are rich in selenium, and selenium, which is a mineral which helps in various function, especially for thyroid function, selenium is very important, as well as selenium is very important for antioxidation. Selenium is important for immunity. So we need to consume good amount of selenium in our diet. Brazil nut among the nuts has the highest amount of selenium. So you need to consume Brazil nut, but you should be mindful that you should not consume more than 1 or 2, maximum 2 Brazil nuts per day, because one Brazil nut will contain around 70 to 80 microgram of selenium, and that itself is enough for our daily requirement. If you consume more than that, if you consume a fistful of Brazil nut, you can have selenium toxicity. So when you are choosing Brazil nut also is good form of nut. It contains various healthy proteins and phytochemicals and fiber. Along with that, it contains selenium, and selenium is very important for for all the health benefits as we have discussed. But be mindful that take Brazil nut not more than 2 per day. So these are the 5 best nuts that we have discussed. All in all, I hope you have gained an insight regarding which nuts to take, how much to take, and which nuts to avoid in diabetes. And thank you all for your patient hearing. And if you have liked our video, you can follow this video of ours so that you get a better understanding of the nuts.